Hi, Phyllis here from southernfrugal.com. Tonight I'm going to make some persimmon pudding. Now I'm going to use my mother's recipe. It was really actually my grandmother's recipe too. And it calls for 2 cups of persimmon pulp. Now my family is from North Carolina, and persimmon trees grow wild out in the woods in North Carolina and really in South Carolina too. And they're really, the wild persimmons are different than those you buy in the store, but of course all the persimmons are gone for this year. I tried to find some pulp I could buy up in North Carolina and have them ship it to me, and everybody's sold out. So this is a real treat around Thanksgiving and Christmas time. But anyway, I found these in Walmart. Now this is a Japanese type of persimmon, and they don't have that, I think the word is astringent taste about them, where when you put them in your mouth it's real bitter and you can feel it on your tongue. And we used to say it turns your mouth the wrong side out, because that's kind of what it feels like it's doing. But the Japanese type, they don't do that. But there is another larger type that they sell on the market, just probably everywhere, that's more of a heart shape when you look at it from the side. Now those do have to be ripe, have to be almost mushy ripe, or they're going to be super astringent, bitter, terrible. But anyway, these are not that way. These are real sweet. Now this flavor's not as strong as those that grow in the wild up in North Carolina and in South Carolina. Alright, so we're going to make a persimmon pudding. My mother and my grandmother's recipe. I've altered it only slightly, but I did want to tell you, a gentleman sent me, I don't know, I guess it's okay to say his name, Bryson. He's one of my subscribers, and he sent me a couple of recipes, and at the end of the email was a recipe for a persimmon pudding. And it's very much like my mother's recipe, as far as, like the spices and all that. The amounts of stuff you put in are a little bit different. But anyway, I thought I would go ahead and make that. It took me all day to find my mother's recipe. Let me just show you. There it is, from December 1976. And I did kind of rewrite it, to decipher everything that was on there. But, some of it I remembered, so that was okay. But anyway, my mother used to make this all the time in the fall, and my grandmother used to make it all the time too. And what my grandmother would do is get the pulp out, and the wild persimmons, they have the 4 big seeds in them, and you have to wait until they actually fall from the tree. You can't pick them off the tree. And they used to put pine straw down. My grandmother had 2 trees, and they were older trees, and they used to put pine straw down underneath the tree, so when the fruit fell, because it was a pretty big tree, it wouldn't, burst open. And so she would go out there every day and pick up the persimmons that had fallen, and then she would make the puree and put it in jars. And I remember her putting paraffin wax over the top of it, or a little cloth, and then when she would go to use it, she would just dip off any bad off the top, and it really sort of fermented, made a delicious persimmon pudding, just delicious. But anyway, these aren't going to be quite that strong tasting, but they are persimmons. And I just wanted to mention that persimmons are very healthy for you. They've got a lot of potassium, they've got magnesium and all kinds of vitamins. They're high in vitamin A and vitamin C. And I'll actually tell you that I ate one of these this morning, and I think they would be super in smoothies. And they're a seasonal thing. I don't really think you can get these all year round. But anyway, I got these at Walmart. Can you believe it? I couldn't. I really couldn't. I'd seen them in there a couple of weeks ago, but I'd never really tried the larger kind. But anyway, when Mr. Bryson sent me that email, I thought, it would be a shame if I don't make the persimmon pudding on my videos. So anyway, here goes. All right, the first thing that we need to do, I've already peeled my persimmons. They've been sitting out a while. I've sort of letting them get a little soft. Now I'm going to put these in the food processor and puree them. And I'll have to tell you, what I do is peel them and then cut them in quarters and try to see if they've got any seeds in them. I did find one large seed, and that was it. The rest of them were pretty well seedless. So I'm going to go ahead and puree these in the in the food processor, because I want to have 2 full cups. So once I do that, we'll be back and we'll complete the rest of it. And I'm actually going to mix this up in my food processor. So we'll be back. Okay, so that took about 2 seconds, really, just about 2 seconds. All right, I had 6 of them, and it made exactly 2 cups. So 6, this size, will make about 2 cups. All right, so I'm going to pour that right back into my food processor. And again, now this is actually pudding. So, all right, now, to that, I'm going to go ahead and just dump in 2 eggs, 1 1/4 cups of sugar, and I'm going to put in a teaspoon of vanilla extract. So I can get that lid off there. 1 teaspoon. And now the spices will be 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon and 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. Now, some people don't put this in, and sometimes my mother did and sometimes she didn't. But it will be just as good if you don't use the spices, but I thought I'd just use a little bit. All right. And now to this, what we're going to do is go ahead and add, now Mr. Bryson's recipe didn't call for this, but in North Carolina, a lot of people put a little bit of cornmeal mix. We've got a fruit fly, I think he's after the persimmons. A 1/4 cup of cornmeal or cornmeal mix, which is what this is. So I'm going to go ahead and dump that in. And that gives it a different texture, really. Now, we're going to bake this in an 8x8 Pyrex dish at 350 degrees for about an hour. So I went ahead and melted 1/2 cup of butter, or 1 stick, right in the microwave in the same dish I'm going to cook it in. So I'm going to pour that butter right in the mix here. Now remember, growing up, the part about persimmon pudding I liked best was around the edge where it got a little, just slightly crispy and real buttery. So good. All right, now we're going to go ahead and mix this up a little bit. All right, and we'll leave this on while we're doing this. That's probably good enough. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm adding 1 and 1/2 cups of half and half. Now, my mother used evaporated milk, and I think my grandmother did too. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and use, I don't particularly like this, although you can't taste it in the pudding. I've got half and half in the refrigerator, so I just decided to make it a little richer. So 1 1/2 cups of half and half. So I'm going to turn this on and just go ahead and pour this in. Alright, so that's all the ingredients except for the flour. And what I'm going to do is pour that flour in and just kind of pulse it a little bit. Now this is 3/4 cup of self-rising flour. It's already got some baking soda in it, because this pudding is going to rise up, and then once you take it out of the oven, it falls back down and will be of a really thick pudding consistency. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and dump this in. And the flour was sifted before it was measured. I'm just going to pulse that a little bit. that's all we need. Now we're just going to dump it into that pan. And I do think my food processor is on its last leg. I really do. So I'm going to dump that into our pan. Now it's going to make a really thick pudding. Really, really thick. All right. That's it. We're going to go ahead and bake this 350 degrees for about an hour, or until a toothpick inserted in the center comes out clean. Let me show you what it looks like. There it is. All right. Once this is done, in about an hour, we'll be back. Okay, we have just taken the persimmon pudding out of the oven, and it's going to be shrinking back a little. It's already shrunk back some, but we're not going to be able to cut this for probably 30, maybe 45 minutes because it's really, really hot. So we'll be back in a little while when this is cooled enough that I can cut it, and I'll show you what it looks like now. Definitely smells good. It doesn't smell as strong like persimmons as my mother did, but that's because she used the American persimmons, which are a much stronger taste than the Japanese persimmons are. But anyway, we'll be back in a minute. This was the best I could do on the persimmons, so we'll be back in a minute when it's cooled off. Okay, our persimmon pudding I think has cooled enough. It's still pretty warm, but I'm going to see if I can cut it now. It's very thick, so I'm going to cut some narrow pieces down on this end. Now, I've never made it before with the Japanese persimmons, so we're going to see how it looks. All right, hold on here. Come on out now. Oh, come on out. Get it out with a fork. Still real hot, so, okay. All right, taste of that. Get this one out. All right. Well, it fell over. Sit it up. There's what it looks like. Okay, I got a taste of it. Okay, it's definitely not as strong of a persimmon taste as the wild persimmons, but it is good. It's very definitely good. It's also very, very hot. Now, that edge is what I like best because it's real buttery. It's got the same texture, but it's just not quite as strong a persimmon taste as the wild persimmons you get. Of course, the wild persimmons are a lot more trouble to get the pulp out of them too. All right, a little more. Very good. There's the texture of it. Can y'all see that? It puffs way up and then it kind of falls down, you know? Anyway, it's really, really good. I'm going to show you the persimmons again. It took 6 of these to make 2 cups, and I did peel them before, and of the 6 I only found 1 that had 1 seed in it, but you do need to check every one. So you peel them. Well, first of all, you take that off right there, that little top part, and I just really cut it off, and then you peel them like you would peel an apple, and then cut them in quarters and just look and see if you see any. The seeds will be about the size of my fingernail right there, and real flat, and they're blacks or real dark brown, so you'll see them. But anyway, these are quite good. Now we've got 3 left because I really bought too many, and by the way, they were $1.28 each, which I thought was really expensive, but I absolutely just had to have some of the persimmon pudding. So there it is. All right, so I'm going to take a little picture and do a thumbnail. I want to give you a little tip and see if y'all can help me out on this. When I was doing videos, let's see, a couple of days ago I was doing some videos, and I had a fruit fly in here. One fruit fly. He was driving me bananas. So he showed up again. I don't know how he knows when the camera's on, but he does. It was just one. And so I remember reading a tip one time, in fact it was on the internet, that if you put some vinegar, just regular cider vinegar, just a little bit, and there's only a little bit in there, maybe a couple of tablespoons in this, and put some saran wrap over the top of it, poke a hole in the middle, that they will go in and they'll be attracted by the vinegar and they'll go in and drown. And I saw some where they would put some vinegar in like a Coke bottle or some kind of bottle like that, and they go in and then they drowned. Well, my fruit fly, he didn't go in and he didn't drown. He's still around here somewhere. And I think he was attracted, maybe, I'm not sure, I've got a pineapple sitting up here, maybe to that, I don't know. But anyway, if y'all got any tips, he's only one, but when I start videotaping, he's flying around in here, you know? So if y'all got any tips on that, let me know, okay? I hope it's not a female and she lays eggs anywhere, I don't know. But it's definitely a little fruit fly, for sure. Alright, so I hope y'all will maybe try these persimmons. Now, the three that we have left, I'm going to put those in a smoothie, maybe 2 of them in a smoothie, and then the other one, you know, you can actually eat them on a salad. They're really, really good and very sweet and very good for you. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and take my thumbnail and get this posted, and we'll see y'all next time. And by the way, thank you, Mr. Bryson Hatfield, he's one of my subscribers, for sending that recipe on the persimmon pudding. I didn't use it, but it prompted me to find my mother's recipe and use that, and I think his recipe's a good one too. But anyway, I used my mother's and my grandmother's. Alright, we will see y'all next time.